Shalom, hello, Natasha. And we have Natasha here today. And I will transfer to Hebrew for a second, and then we'll keep on. אז נטשה טקהשי היא אחת המייסדות של School of Bots, שזה אחד הבית ספר המובילים ללימודי בוט בעולם. והיא וקייל וויליס, בעצם יש להם גם סוכנות בוטים מאוד, שנותנת שירותים של שיווק בעזרת שיחה, שזה conversational marketing ללקוחות, כדי לעזור להם להשיג את המטרות שלהם, ובין הלקוחות שלהם יש להם את מיינד ואלי, הם עובדים עם מת'יו הסי, ועם social media examiner, והם יצרו נוסחה מיוחדת, the 6-step messenger בעקביות, זה נוסחת 6 השלבים שעוזרת להשיג בצורה עקבית ובאחוזים גבוהים, בצורה שעזרה למעל 100 עסקים. גם אחד הקמפיינים שלהם היה השקה של מוצר שהניב מעל $48,000 בהשקה של מוצר רק עם בוט וללא קמפיין פרסומי. ואת הנוסחה הזאת אני הולכת להעביר לכם בוובינר שיתקיים בקרוב, ויש לי כמה שאלות לנטשה. And I want to say the fun fact about נטשה, עובדה מעניינת על נטשה, שב3 שנים האחרונות היא גרה ב7 מדינות, 7 countries, 23 דירות, 23 apartments. How did you do that? That's amazing.
The power of Airbnb.
Wow, amazing. And you got to work with bots and travel the world.
Exactly. Yeah. I was working from my laptop, typical, digital nomad lifestyle. And now I think it's probably not the best way to start a business, but it was fun for a little bit. And I think that being able to work and travel is, something that most people can't do. So it was a really cool experience.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. And I have a few questions for you. I just introduced you and told them about your bot agency and your School of Bots and the amazing work you're doing and your special formula that will do the webinar and introduce and show how that formula worked for your clients. And so I want to first start with the question, what was the main goal that your main goal when you founded School of Bots? Which School of Bots is one of the leading schools to learn bots. I took a course, an amazing course, which really upgraded my skills. And what was your main reason, main goal?
Yeah, so before that, Kyle and I had founded our chatbot agency. And so about 6 months, like a year into it, we kept trying to find other people who were doing what we were doing, right? Which was very few. But of those people, no one was really sharing what was specifically working for them, right? It was all very surface level things like, we're using these specific things inside of ManyChat and these tools, but it wasn't like, here's an exact way of how we're driving results for our clients. Here's this amazing case study. Here's what we did. And even though there were case studies from Facebook, from ManyChat, within the community, it still wasn't very step-by-step. And also there wasn't really a community of people that you could get this information from, or kind of a go-to. There were all these scattered communities, YouTube videos, articles, blogs, and they all became outdated very quickly as well. So in an effort for us to keep ourselves updated constantly, right, and make sure we're on top of it for ourselves, for our agency, for our clients, we also wanted to provide education on what works really well right now within chatbot marketing, as well as the chatbot sales side, and further than that, the agency side. I know that you love systems, and so our goal was to bring this chatbot agency system, like business in a box kind of style, to the market so that we could help people understand what this business actually does, what the results are like, what can you do for your clients, and ultimately also allow people to start a whole new life for them, right? And create a career out of a skill that didn't exist a few years ago. So that was the goal when we started School of Bots, and we started with just one course, and now almost 2 years later, we have multiple different products, marketplaces, a community of over 7,000 people. We do videos and all sorts of things. So we've gone from a course to an education brand.
That's amazing. And I love your systematic approach. It's really easy to learn and get results with that system.
Yeah, absolutely. Kyle, my co-founder, who you mentioned earlier, is a genius with systems because of what he learned before we started our agency. So that made things much easier for us to just know how to run a business, since actually our chatbot agency was both of our first businesses.
Amazing. Amazing. Why did you create, we discussed, I introduced them to your 6-step formula for messenger bot campaigns, and that's what we're going to introduce on the webinar. And why did you create that formula?
The goal with the formula, and you talked about how we're very systemized. We love processes and just knowing what works, right? And then testing outside of that to improve the processes. And so with the 6-step chatbot campaign formula, initially we were just creating campaigns from scratch pretty much any time we built a bot, right? It was like, okay, let's put together, what do we need to track? And let's just build these flows out, right? If you guys are familiar with ManyChat, that's what that is called inside of it. Similar to email marketing or building a landing page, except you're building a conversation. And so we'd start from scratch every single time. And I started to realize how tedious that was, how unnecessary it was as well. And I wanted to know for myself more than anything, is there a process we can follow that will work pretty much with any type of campaign, regardless of what the goal is? And that slowly became the 6-step chatbot campaign formula, where we tested that out with pretty much all of our clients for not just a specific marketing campaign, but also broadcasts, one-time messages we would send out. Instead of it just being, hey, here's an announcement, go to this website link. Instead, it had that formula a part of it. Even if it wasn't all 6 steps, we still took, 4 out of the 6 steps. So that was the goal for creating it, was just to find something that worked every single time we ran a campaign.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. I like the systematic. And it saves you a lot of time when you build the new things, because
it really does.
And what is special about this formula?
The thing about the formula that I think I like the best, even though obviously I've created this with my team, so I'm biased, but in regards to what I think is most powerful is that we're not just taking people through a back and forth conversation, which is one of the great things about bots, but instead each step has a purpose to make sure that you are having as direct of a conversation as possible. You are filtering users out to make sure that you're only, talking to people who are interested in your product or your service or the freebie that you're giving them, and that you're also taking advantage of everything that you can do with a bot in terms of the conversation, right? So that really means like bringing people in organically, or like giving them information that they want in exchange for more contact information, like their email or a phone number. So the way that we've set it up is so that you can really optimize everything that you can do with a chatbot within every campaign, rather than just doing half of what you're capable of, simply because you don't have that proven process laid out. So I think that's really the most powerful thing, is that we try to encapsulate everything that you can do with the bot and put it into, a step-by-step that doesn't complicate things. It just keeps things simple and direct. And that's really what you need to do in the conversational format. No fluff.
Yeah. You have to be really precise and direct to what you want to do. And and you can choose to do only part of the steps, as you said. You don't have to do all.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And to kind of give people an idea of what we mean by that, there are different steps of the formula where, of course, someone's coming into a funnel, for example, and then we ask them for more contact information. And then later down the line, maybe, we have a paid offer we want to give them, so we offer that. But maybe you don't have a paid offer and you just want to do a brand awareness campaign. Then that's, a situation where you wouldn't need steps 5 and 6, which have to do with the course, or not the course, the product offering, thinking of courses because we're talking about toolbots. And then the steps 1 through 4 will just be what you apply for that campaign. So yeah, absolutely. You can take certain parts of it, but they always go in the order of the 6 steps, regardless of which steps you do.
Yeah, that's what I like about the bots and the ManyChat.
Yeah.
You can rearrange it how you want to
Totally.
do it.
There's so much flexibility there.
And does this formula fits every kind of business from your...
Yeah, I'd honestly say it does. And obviously with each campaign, like we talked about, certain businesses may not need all the steps in every single campaign they do. But because the formula is broad enough in the sense that we're not saying, all right, now offer this very specific lead magnet here at this step. Instead it's more like, here's an offer and here's what you could be offering there, right? And you will be sharing that in the webinar, exactly, what that looks like. So this can really be applied to any type of business because any business can use the template, essentially the box that we give you in each step, and then just fill it in with whatever content or offer that you currently have, right? Whatever performs best for you. And obviously you'll want to test all of this, but ultimately you can apply it to any business, any industry.
That's great. One of the challenging things we have with Facebook Messenger is that the policy updates all the time.
Yes.
Not all the time, but when it updates, it affects us as marketers, as business owners. We have to get update with the policies and follow them. How does this formula, is it like it fits this? How does it deal with this issue?
Yeah, I'd say there's a lot of different policy changes that will come, as well as feature changes. As we know right now at the time of filming, in about a month, things are going to change a little bit within the chatbot experiences on Messenger in terms of what features are available, and so on. So keeping those things in mind, that isn't really going to affect the formula itself. But of course, we are always constantly updating it, which is why it's important for us to be sharing it constantly so we can say, here, by the way, here's what's changed since we last presented this. And also in regards to any policies, really the most important one to know about is when you can send promotional offers. And that is very clearly outlined in the formula where, like specifically at steps 5 and 6, like I mentioned, where that's where the paid offer starts to come into play. Just understanding the policy is just a simple understanding of like when to send a message and when to delay that. But the template itself, the overall, like what you're going to do at each step will stay the same regardless of any policy changes. It's just about when you're sending the messages.
Yeah, because it's more like a strategy thing that you do.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, because things are always changing. So yeah, absolutely. The policies are changing fairly often. So it's really just in anyone's best interest who wants to get into the chatbot world is just understand how those policies work. And I know you're knowledgeable on them. I am in our community. So if anyone has questions about that, they can always reach out to either one of us. And hopefully we can help them with that. But overall for the process, like you said, it's more of a strategy approach. So it's not tactical where the policies would affect a little thing that's happening in it.
Yeah, it's a more evergreen thing than...
Yes. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. Suppose that a small, medium business comes to you and they want to start using a chatbot. What is the first step that you would recommend them to start with? I mean, there are a lot of chatbot can do a lot of things. What would you?
Yes, it can. So I'd say the simplest and best approach to not get caught up and get too excited about everything you can do with the bot as well and let that overtake you. Instead, decide on, or rather look at what you've done so far as a company throughout your marketing campaigns, offers that you have, free and or paid, and then take what has worked the best, like what funnel or what campaign have you ran that has worked the best for you, and actually rebuild that inside of a chatbot. And then test that against the previous version, right? Whether that was a landing page to email to a checkout page, you can take that funnel and put it into a chatbot and see if that performs better, right? I would say that's the best first step without worrying about anything crazy that a chatbot can do, without worrying about artificial intelligence or setting up all these little tiny pieces of your bot. Instead, just focus on that one thing, because once you build that out, then one, you'll have an evergreen offer that you can send people to anytime they enter your chatbot. So maybe for people who are familiar with the terminology for bots, when someone comes into your chatbot for the first time, they're going to get something called the welcome message, which means that's a generic message someone's going to get. You can put whatever you want there. And usually, obviously, you're starting a conversation with someone. So you say, hey, welcome to our company, blah, blah, blah. Like, how can we help you? After you help them, maybe you send them to an FAQ or something, then now you can send them to that funnel that you created inside of the bot as a way to now engage them and also, therefore create revenue generation through your bot, right? And vice versa. Now you can also take that offer and put it at the front, which means that with a Facebook ad, with a Facebook post, on your website, right? So many different places that you can put entry for a chatbot. Now that can be your main offer, and you can continue to improve that, and then you'll have a formula for what works for future campaigns. So you can just pretty much swap out the offers, swap out the content, and you know what works for your audience. And by the way, for that first campaign that you run, if you use the 6-step chatbot campaign formula, then you'll have a proven process already that will accelerate your time that you need to take on this, right? And actually save you quite a bit of time and effort to figure out what works. And instead, you can just swap out your offers, swap out your content, and follow those 6 steps to make sure that that first offer you put together is going to do fairly well, even though it's your first one that you build out.
I like that approach. I like the reuse approach. You repurpose the content to another channel, and I like that approach because you don't have to create new content. You just have to use it in
exactly. Yeah. And, if you have something that has worked really well for you, even if it's not been a lot of traffic, but people told you that they really liked it, or, you had a few sales from something, then just use that, right? Because like you said, the more you can recycle your content, the better. And chances are people who have read your blog articles, watched your videos, consumed any of your content, they don't get every single part of that content on other mediums, like on YouTube, in emails, landing pages, PDFs. So instead, presenting that content within a conversation actually helps them understand and retain more of it. And it's also more engaging and exciting for them. So even if someone has gone through a piece of your content before on another medium, presenting it in a conversation is likely to convert better and faster as well.
Yeah, I know it. I know it from my use cases as well.
Yeah,
it's amazing. How do you see the future of messenger bots? I mean, where do you think it's going?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of ways that it can expand, and it's already grown really quickly. In 2017 or 2018, I can't remember which year these numbers are from, but there were 2 billion messages being sent between users and businesses every month on Facebook Messenger. And right now, there's 20 billion. So it's exponentially grown, by, 10 times? So as you guys can see, the space is increasing very rapidly. More and more businesses, over 40 million businesses use Facebook Messenger every month already. And that includes both human-to-human conversations and bot-to-bot conversations. But it shows you, that people want this direct, convenient medium to get whatever they need, whether it's, a mini course, whether it's help, whether it's, just talking to someone, right? Whatever the purpose of your chatbot is. And so I think we already see the potential for it here on Messenger as a marketing channel as well as a sales channel and customer support. So the next steps are really for people to expand to other platforms that make sense for their business. Platforms like Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, and Instagram are fairly easy to find new companies and for users to learn more about what you do, right? And so because of that, the marketing potential there we already see is huge with ads, with traditional ads. And so now bringing messaging and chatbots to those platforms is what I see Messenger evolving into, especially because Facebook announced this year at their F8 conference, they called it interoperability, which pretty much means that a Messenger user can now talk to an Instagram or a WhatsApp user without creating an account on those platforms. There's a lot of potential here. Obviously, Facebook is really the driving force behind these platforms, since WhatsApp is the #1 messaging platform in the world. Messenger is #2. But I already see so many amazing things happening because of this. It's good for both the business and the customer. So I see this expanding really rapidly, especially into WhatsApp and Instagram next. And then, of course, other platforms, I'm sure, as this evolves more and more, like SMS, RCS, which is Google's, and so on.
I heard you speaking after the F8 conference, and you said it's like you thought when you started 3 years ago that it was the beginning, and you still feel it's the beginning. It's like, right? It's like, it's
yes,
still,
it really is. I mean, it's grown fast. Yeah, it's grown fast, but it's also grown slow, right? There's still a lot of business adoption and user adoption to happen. But that's why right now is the best time to get into it, because there's enough results to prove to businesses and say, hey, you should be using this channel, and it's not saturated, right? So it's really the perfect time for everyone who's watching to start using chatbots for their clients or for their own business, so that you can really start to experiment with this, because like I said, Messenger is going to be the first domino, and then very soon the other platforms will follow. So it's important to just understand how to talk to your customers and leads on this platform as soon as you can, so that you're prepared for what's to come in the future.
Yeah, then you can really go into the other platforms in much easier and faster way.
Exactly.
This is a question that I get a lot. I guess you too, that you get about bots. That one of the most important things, in my opinion, is to bring humanity into the world of bots and automations. How do you apply this principle in your strategy? Because I hear a lot of people, I hate these bots. It's like, you know, I can't speak with a bot, and then they don't want to bring the bots in their business. And I think the bots are they can do an amazing work with connecting the humanity and technology.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think there's kind of two ways to look at it in terms of what bots can do. So first off, just thinking from, let's say, a business to the consumer standpoint of the consumer needing to get some questions answered or needing to give some information in order for the business to determine if they're a good customer for them. And so bots very easily do that, where they allow you to get what you need faster and then be able to connect you with a human at the right time, where you guys don't have to bother each other, if you will, and can actually get a lot of things done before having a high quality conversation, if you will. And that comes a lot of the times with customer support and sales, where in the lead qualification process, for example, someone can go through, answer a bunch of questions, and then the bot will tell them, hey, it seems like you're the right fit or you're not the right fit, so that the human doesn't have to waste time trying to get a hold of the other human, right, where humanity is lost really in that process. Whereas the business can receive a highly qualified lead. The lead is excited to talk to a human, and then now their conversation is a lot higher quality than it would have been before, where, you know, they have to cold outreach to them and it just feels invasive, whereas the user is actually reaching out first in this scenario. So that's one of the ways that it's more human. And I think the second approach is just understanding like how convenient this is for users, and also the ways that you can personalize a conversation in a way that could never be done before, right? Because ultimately, like conversations go back, in history between businesses and consumers have always been, face to face or like human to human talking, but that's just not possible in this day and age because the internet runs 24/7, right? And you want to open up your business to people all around the world. It's tough to do that all the time. And so for you to be able to provide a service to people on a regular basis with, again, customization and personalization within the conversations, and moreover from that, just like the user being able to get what they need, as well as the business then receiving information that they need and being able to help them at the right time, I think is the most important thing to understand about it. So overall, I think it makes these conversations more human than they ever have been before because email's not very human, ads are not very human. And so conversations and chatbots, I think people who say, hey, I didn't really like talking to this chatbot, or they're annoying, they're spam, those are people who interacted with chatbots that didn't lay the expectations for what the user needed to do in the experience, the instructions, as well as what they could expect, right? What can the chatbot do as well? Because if there's no expectations from either side, then it becomes a very bad experience for the user where they're like, whoa, why is this chatbot messaging me, 10 times in a row? And they just don't know what to do, right? Because they're confused. They don't know what to expect.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like bad chatbot experience when you build the chatbot not in a right way. It's also important to know how to build the chat so you make it engaging and and helpful.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Great. Which bot did you build the most that you're proud of, and what did you like the most about it?
Okay, great question.
Every bot builder has like his baby bot,
Yeah. I feel like I have so many baby bots lately, especially with all the big companies we're working with. So I'd say probably an interesting one to look at is the webinar funnel is very common in a lot of online businesses these days, right? Whatever you're selling, whether it's a tangible product, whether it's a service like marketing agency, or if it's a digital product like online courses, webinars have become pretty common, within the online world for people trying to sell something rather than sending them a bunch of emails or a PDF. So one of the companies that we work with, Mind Valley, they are, a $40 million company that provides personal development courses. And they have an interesting model where instead of them coming up with all the content themselves, they actually partner with experts in certain areas of expertise. And this is both like on the spiritual side as well as like specific personal development, such as, if you guys have heard of Jim Quick, he teaches you how to read faster and help your brain process things in a more efficient and faster way. It's the best way to put it. He does a lot of things, but that's what he's mainly known for, at least in this context here of Mind Valley. So, for example, Mind Valley creates a course with him where he teaches his methodologies and everything, but it's branded under Mind Valley, and people are there for both Mind Valley because they understand the quality of the experts, and they're there for Jim Quick because they know that he's an expert in his field in that particular thing they want to know about, right? So all that context, bringing it back to the chatbot, how they run the business is they have about 30 different products, and they have a webinar for every single one. And that's an evergreen webinar. And then within that, of course, there's email follow-up and things like that. So what we've done with the chatbot is actually create an evergreen webinar system where we can't automate every single part of it, but what we can do is automate the pre-webinar sequences so that each webinar, essentially, as soon as someone signs up, they're able to go into Messenger and do a pre-webinar sequence specific to their webinar. And then after that, there's a post-webinar sequence. And right now, we're in the process of testing it for all 30 of them. So we'll definitely be doing a case study on like exactly which ones perform better, what worked well there, because the media assets and things are different in each one. So I don't have like the exact conversion and open and click rate numbers yet, just because there's so much testing we've been doing like over the last 3-4 months. But I'm really excited for what we're seeing so far. It's performing better than email, of course. And we're going to be moving on soon to attach all these funnels to ads as well. so that we can also test it from that medium, right? And that's performed really well for us in the past. But this is such a different monster, if you will, because there's just so
Yeah.
many webinars.
Yeah, and you can, because you have so many use cases inside, you can really test what's working best.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, there's a format, luckily and we've applied our 6-step process to this as well, where within each campaign, you can, if you go through it, just sign up for one of Mind Valley's webinars, and you can see after you go through a Nuts webinar on the formula, then you can understand how we've applied it in each step as well. And again, hopefully we'll be publishing our case study in the next few months, so we'll be able to share all the exact numbers once we have those finalized.
I'm looking forward. And the last question, how can people follow you if they want to, join the community, follow? Yeah. You have really great shows on YouTube. I have to recommend them. Oh,
thank you. They're fun to do. Yeah. So that show, Battle of the Bots, you guys can just find on our YouTube channel. And we've got quite a few different tutorials and things on there about just chatbots as well as sales. And in terms of connecting with me, if you guys want to reach me directly, you can email me at natasha@schoolofbots.co, or you can easily find me on social media. If you just Google my name, I'm actually like one of the only people in the world that has my name. So because of that, you guys can easily find me on LinkedIn and Facebook that way. And then if you want to follow School of Bots, definitely join our Facebook community. Just look up School of Bots on Facebook, and you should see our group, as well as, you can enter our chatbot that way and get access to some of our things, as well as see how a chatbot works if you want to explore that too.
I will also attach the links also.
Perfect.
Thanks. Well, thank you very much. Do you want to add anything, say something else?
Yeah, absolutely. I think people need to be there for the 6-step chatbot campaign formula webinar. Anat is going to share some amazing, mind-blowing things as to how the formula works, how you can apply it, regardless of where you are with bots as well. So while we have designed it to be more of a advanced situation, if you will, where you should know at least how chatbots work before going into the webinar, Anat has a great beginner course that I recommend you guys go through, or at least open up a ManyChat account and just start taking a look at how some things work, because even though it's not going to be tactical where we're going to say do this exact thing in ManyChat, you're still going to want to understand how bots work and what you can do inside of them before going through the training. And then once you go through the training, you'll be like, oh my God, now I understand like how to do this, and it's going to save you guys so much time, so much effort, and really give you something that works initially, especially if you're just about to start working with clients on your chatbots too, so that you can bring them results faster, as well as for your own business, start generating revenue faster through bots, and really make them work for you. So with that, really excited to hopefully see you guys there. Anat's going to do an amazing job.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad we met on the internet realm.
I know, right? Isn't it funny? Internet friends.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. And thank you very much. It's been for all your knowledge and sharing and the way I really like your structured way, of doing things. It's really easy to learn and implement things, and this is what you're going to see in the 6-step formula. So if you're looking for something like structured and working, it's and that's bringing great results, please join us.